right, welcome to the
Kia
Fuck
ora.
You. And if you don't know what the Fuck You is, it's a podcast that invites people from all walks of life to converse about various access to equity within the context of Aotearoa. We invite guests like yourself to share your lived experiences in an effort to identify common threads within support systems, social networks, and knowledge that uplifts the collective human experience.
And then season 1, we have an overarching question. And this season, we are exploring what does equity and support look like for various communities coexisting within one society.
And today we have the mighty...
Jordaan, Tuitama. Oh my gosh.
Oh, you forgot your name, did you?
Oh my gosh. That question was like, what?
Hey, we don't expect you to answer it specifically, but
cool.
you know.
Far out.
Oh, yes, so go. There's your first question.
Yeah, but that was probably by far the best intro I've ever been a part of.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful.
I was like, when's my turn? Oh, she's pointing to me. Fuck you.
Kia ora, how are you?
Good, thank you. Thanks for having me here. Appreciate it.
Do you want to introduce yourself and however much you want to share, and also your pronouns?
Okay, so I'm Jordaan. I am a avid content consumer of social media, and I'm a lifelong learner, and also just one of my hobbies is breaking stereotypes. Yeah,
Love
Nice.
basically me.
that.
Yeah.
Nice. And what are your pronouns?
I don't know what that means.
Okay,
Let's
so-
go there. What is that?
Yes.
So pronouns is how you want people to refer to you. So
Okay.
my pronouns are like they, them, or she, her.
Okay.
Joseph?
And mine's he, him, his. So like, or otherwise, like just basically do you identify yourself? Do you,
Ia?
yeah.
Nice.
Ia? Rātou?
Oh,
Nice.
Rāo, I don't know.
no, that's all good.
Yeah, I'll just go for Ia.
Yeah.
Cool.
I love that only because you're the first person who's jumped into that space. I'm like, yes. And if you're listening, jump into that space as well.
That's really cool. And because I haven't had that conversation before. You see it a lot. And you hear it, but I want to hear it from you guys. Like, what is it? Yeah, so that's cool.
Yeah.
Was that okay? Was that answer okay?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Why are you asking for validation?
Oh, I don't know.
Look, you can't ask for validation in
Oh,
this
okay.
club, okay? This is a charity of like
okay.
no validation seeking.
So much for breaking stereotypes. Cool.
But like it's your own personal
Okay.
thing. Like it's not for anybody else to tell you yes or no. So whatever you want is all good.
I'll throw in too that I'm a millennial and I'm really proud of that too. So.
Ooh, why do you say that? Because I feel like we get a lot of slack. Well, millennials get a lot of
Yeah,
slack.
We're like hybrid humans, I think, in terms of culture. There's the popo.
Oh, they're coming
my
for
gosh.
Joseph. That's fine.
I thought they were coming for but that's not the stereotype that we want to uplift.
I think the best way to, yeah, well, I guess the stereotype about millennials for me, I mean, the best way I can describe it is I was at the inception of Mortal Kombat, the first one, and we're at 11 now.
Whoa.
So I've been there since the genesis of Scorpion, Sub-Zero to now with all these new characters. And so because I'm a millennial, I've got that knowledge-based experience and understanding of the history behind Mortal Kombat that it makes me a little bit more advanced in terms of skill sets and knowledge base in Mortal Kombat, if that makes sense.
Ooh, okay,
So being a
okay.
millennial means that I've got the best of the old and the new school. So I call it the true school.
Hey, okay, I feel that.
That's how I feel about millennials anyway. Yeah.
No, and then so wait, I'm just gonna push you even further. Were you in like Sims?
Yeah.
Like the OG Sims,
Yeah, the
which was
OG
like
Sims,
a computer like CD, like you have to download it into
put in
your
the ROM.
Yeah.
CD-ROM. Yeah. I did the Sims thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Man, whoa.
Well, come on, you wanted to go from. I'm like this. So
Yeah.
before that, I was like, I feel like when I came to New Zealand in 2000, the first thing that I ever saw was Sims, and in my head, I'm like, what is this?
Yeah.
Well, coming from the island to Sims is like, wait, oh my god, innovation.
Yeah, even like further back then, like PlayStation and Sega and like Atari going way back then. Yeah, I mean even arcade systems themselves, like at the fish and chip shop. So like I'm like tape cassettes
Yeah.
and VHS tapes and streaming. Whereas versus say anyone under 25 might just be streaming. Yeah, or even under 15 might only be streaming. So that experience of the old school and the new school. That's why I think millennials have an advantage.
Yeah. And where do you reckon, like, do you reckon baby boomers have this, like, had a similar advantage?
Compared to their the generation before them, definitely. Yeah, I mean there was no war, so that helped.
Just a little. Maybe.
Yeah, the world wasn't fighting, but yeah. I mean the baby boomers question too, like people get a bit annoyed with the boomers. They just need to understand and they want to talk about it. Yeah. If you take time to talk with a boomer, they're pretty cool. Like they're like, oh, I see. That's why you're useless. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Thank you for that confidence builder.
Yeah. Which has been interesting, like lockdown. You know, I've learned how to become a DIY builder. And I think some of the boomers in my family are starting to see we validate him now. He's one of us. Yeah.
He can finally use his hands.
Yeah.
For the right reasons.
He's not dumb. Looking at a screen. What does Google? Yeah.
All right.
On the line.
Yeah, basically. All right, so talk about community and communities that you've been attached to ever since childhood. So you can do the throwback to primary school, high school.
Oh, cool.
What are the different communities and community that you've been a part of?
So my mum's Māori, Pākehā, my father's Samoan. So growing up in a like culturally diverse household has been real interesting. So you would think you get the best of both worlds, but I got the worst of both worlds.
Only you can speak to that.
But I mean, like, yeah, I mean that's a part of the learning too. Is in having these conversations with my parents now. You know, I talk about in particular. I've learned what not to do because of their parenting style, and it's a little joke we have with them. But so I come from a diverse background, I suppose. I grew up in South Auckland as a youngster, born out west. My dad's from Auckland. My mum's from a small community just outside of Auckland, which is considered Southside now, Pukikohe or Mount Zion. So I spent a lot of my time out west and south. And then, I grew up basically in the hood, in poverty. And with that, all the symptoms of poverty comes, all the negative stereotypes and statistics that you're supposed to fulfill. And as a kid, I think 10 years old, my goal was to become a gang member. And then as I kind of moved through my teenage years, some significant things happened. And so one of my friends was murdered at 14. So he was stabbed to death, which had a huge impact on me. It's like, maybe this isn't as cool as I think it is. So that had a huge impact on me and changed the trajectory, I suppose, of what I wanted to do in life and what my goal became. So from then on, I decided, you know what, I need to do good. I need to do positive, and because I don't want another generation or someone else losing their friend because of a color.
Yeah.
And I thought, surely there's something bigger than this. So I followed that path and became involved with youth and rangatahi. And still going strong. Still helping where I can in my community. So grew up in Auckland. We moved to Hamilton when I was 14. Just after that it happened. So came to the city. Another city, and enjoyed my time here at high school, and got involved with sports, really big in the arts, and then had my little family, and we moved to a small rural community called Korero in the Bay of Plenty. So I've been there for the last 8 years and still there now. So
wow, okay.
If that answers your question.
No, that does.
Yeah, for sure.
I feel like I heard the mixed culture community, like in terms of you've got a mixed family, that on its own, I don't think we have had any conversations around what support or no support looks like. The arts family, like, I feel like you have, like, I would love for you to dive in deep to see what support looks like or should look like from your perspective. And then at the same time, I feel like the stereotypes, I feel like there's a massive conversation around stereotypes, especially in Aotearoa, that we don't know. I don't think society is equipped, or society, I don't think, I know society is ill-equipped to handle those conversations. So I guess focusing on those three areas, what did support look like for either being in a VIX family and then going outside of your world, like outside of your walls, to a world where that's not the norm?
Yeah. Wow. I guess one of the a significant thing that happened to me in year 7, I was in an enrichment class, they called it. So the year 7 enrichment class, which is like the top, where the brainy kids go. And I was the only brown kid in that class. And which I didn't think anything of at the time. Like, it was all good. Like, cool, this is a cool class. Like, heaps of girls. And then it wasn't until one day I was like, interval, and some of the other Māori girls were saying, "Why are you in that class?" Like, yeah, and I was like, "What do you mean?" It's like, "That's for smart kids. What are you doing?" And I was like, "Oh," and that changed things for me for a few years. I started to dumb myself down because I didn't want to be in that class anymore, because I wanted to be like everyone else. Yeah. So that had a huge impact on me, and particularly coming from my household where my parents didn't really, like, my dad's Samoan, but he's New Zealand born, so he considers himself Kiwi. And so he didn't speak Samoan in our household because he was taught it had no value in the society we live in, so why bother teaching my children? My mum came from a market gardening family, so we were spud pickers and onion pickers. So Mount Zion movie was based on my family. So my uncle was the writer and director of that movie. Yeah.
That's so cool.
So we come from this like grassroots, mahi hard type of Māori family on the marae. But when I say on the marae, we weren't, my koros and my uncles, they weren't on the pai. They were the ringawera in the back, they were the hunters, the gatherers, the cooks. That's where my family were, and that's where we kind of still are, even today. So mātauranga Māori and Te Ao Māori wasn't big in my family either. So the only kind of, I guess, identity that I could grab onto and hold on to was hip-hop. Yeah, hip-hop culture.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so I gravitated towards hip-hop with the Samoan Māori flavour. And yeah, it kind of just turned into what you see today, I guess. And yeah, so I was heavily influenced in my household. My mum worked at a video store. So I had full access to video games and videos. And if you don't know what videos are, yeah.
Google's gotcha.
Videos are like, hard drive sized cassette tapes.
What are they used to call? Like VHR?
VHS.
Or S?
VHS.
I'm like, man, I knew it.
Yeah. So like I watched huge movie buff, like Jean-Claude Van Damme, Steven Seagal, like action movies, like
Steven Seagal was the same character in every damn movie.
Yeah.
Like,
so was Van Damme, actually.
Yeah, no, but I have this theory. I'm like this. So you look at Nicolas Cage, you look at like Bruce Willis, you look at like
Cage,
Arnold Schwarzenegger, like all of them, same person, and especially Sylvester Stallone. I'm brother, your accent is not changing.
Yeah, so there's 90s action, superstars. Those guys, I watched all of them. But I also, so I was influenced by movies, by music, by hip hop culture, and also too, gang culture as well, because it was in my family, it was in my community. I saw it around, so I was influenced by that stuff as well. So, yeah, you're not quite Samoan, you're not quite Māori, and you're not from America, so you're not quite hip hop as you think you are. It's like, where am I then? Who am I? And that's still a question I'm asking today. Because when I go to the marae, I'm still a bit lost. when I go into, I've been asked to become a matai, a Samoan chief, and I'm like, I can't even speak Samoan, like, let alone lead my people or my family, my ainga, like. So yeah, it's like real confusing. It's confusing, but I don't know. Still here, I guess. Yeah.
And do you reckon that if you took this pathway and found out like little remedies, it would help the next generation because you're doing the hard work now? Or do you reckon there's already pioneers that have kind of already come from mixed families that have done a little bit of like plots of support anyways? Because I know for sure society doesn't support that. Like there's not a like mixed family like call line like that you can call.
I think what I touched on when I touched on hip hop, that was probably a savior not just for me, for a lot of my generation. So
why do you think that is?
Well, it's quite cool that you talked about the arts community as well, because that's where we link into.
Yeah.
And that's where we were able to self-express.
Go there.
Is through, lyrics, through rapping, through graffiti art, through movement, through dance, through actually creating music as well. So it was actually that art form, or music in general, not just hip hop, but music, was the release, and that's the support system that we relied on, more so than people or a government system that was set up to support people like me. It was more so arts, and I think creativity and the arts is so undervalued, super undervalued. If you look at our education system, we're like we're still doing literacy and numeracy, but I mean, man, what about the arts? Like,
I think it should be a compulsory subject.
Big time. I mean, creativity, without it, we're just going to have a bunch of people who just no solutions, don't know how to problem solve. They can't see different perspectives or offer anything new. And you need creativity to do that. And so that's where the arts comes in and plays an important role. But yeah, so like in terms of supports, growing up in a family background as such, and growing up in a household like that, I think that's why we gravitated to hip hop, and arts was a big part of finding ourselves and who we are, knowing who we are, and where we can move forward. And that's probably something I would encourage other people out there too. Is if you're not sure who you are, that's normal and that's okay. But find out what you like, because that's usually a channel for you to find out who you are eventually. So.
It's like
Yeah.
beautiful. And like I can totally relate to that, because I gravitated towards the arts when I was growing up, particularly through like teenagehood as well. And that has served me to this day, like still does. And I found connection, and I found my community and explored, and then offered my community a platform through the arts. So like, and that's actually how I met Joseph.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's how I met you. Through your arts. Like,
wow, yeah, cool. Man, that's cool.
All right. So, what did support look like for the arts community? Because I think you really did a nice job of linking the mixed family to arts and how that expressed itself. But did you have support directly, or did you have to go and seek out support in the arts community?
I think maybe a good place to start is how. So, I talk about coming from a Samoan Maori family. In those cultures themselves, arts is really big for some reason. You go to any church on a weekend, there's going to be some harmonious vocals going down, and like real uplifting, and it changes you. So I was fortunate enough that my grandfather on my Samoan side was a musician, and he was a band leader, like marching bands, like full on there, like it was real. Like, so my dad knows how to play the cornet, the trumpet, the trombone, the piano keyboard, the guitar, and he can sing. Yeah, so that I had that
like
to
his
my
own band.
Okay, and I laugh because everyone's like, "Oh, triple threat. What is yours like?"
Yeah, so I had that at my disposal. I had that knowledge base as my father.
Oh,
And to boot, he was also a former Tall Black and professional basketball player. So he was like the consummate Polynesian all-rounder. Yeah. So that I had that as my resource. So I was lucky. So I consider myself to be lucky in that aspect. And then I had my mother, who was a very strong Māori leader and advocate for her family and real family-orientated person. So I had those at my disposal. And I wasn't, we didn't grow up in like State House. I mean, we did, but like you know what I mean? Like your stereotypical, I had people as resources. I had family who were really great role models and had really cool skill sets. Even if it was crime, they were really good at it. And so I had that at my disposal.
that was so good. Like, I feel like, so the quote that my mom always says is, if you're going to be bad, be good at it. Like if you're going to do something, really stink, be good at it. And I'm like, I'm going to jump off the cell and I'm going to be good at it.
And that's one of the reasons why I moved away from gangs. It's because I thought it would be too easy. It's too easy. I could do that easy. I'm 6'4". I'm built like a shit brick house. I'm an athlete and I can articulate myself. Being a criminal is easy. And that's why I steered away from that. Let me go and do this education thing because apparently we're not good at it. So let me break down that stereotype.
Love that.
Strategic.
Yeah, I mean, it's that whole self-determining, challenging myself. And that I got that from Michael Jordan, which is another huge influence. But that's who I named after as well. So. Anyway, where was I? What was it all about?
Just support in the arts. You started off with the
So coming from that background, having
just gonna die slowly
a
here.
super talented family, it gave me an advantage. So going into schools, like joining school choirs, auditioning for school productions, talent quests, I've already had this advantage. I've been doing it my whole life in church. Like I've been singing and dancing and creating art my whole life. So, and if you look across most talent quests in secondary schools, you're gonna see a lot of brown faces because we've been doing this since nappies, man. Or we know people that are good at something, and so we have that access. So, and that led me to the arts. So after high school, my basketball career had finished. Those hopes and dreams were flushed down the toilet. I went down the rugby league path, decided I don't really like it as much as the arts. So I put sport to the side and pursued a career in the arts. And I was lucky because I came into a time where there was a school created in Auckland specifically for Pacific Islanders. And it was run by Pacific Islanders. And I want to shout out to Lady Chadwick, who was my tutor at the time, and Sean Coyle, who was a very prominent Bālangi gay man, who's a set designer. So he created a lot of set designs for theatres and TV shows. So I had those two as my tutors. So I was lucky. I had a foot in the door already in terms of the industry. So they honed my skills, supported me, and then I got my first gig on TV1 through a Te Reo Māori language program. So myself and Ngāhuia Piripi, who's on Shawn Street now. Her and I were each other's first on-screen kiss, which is quite interesting.
Oh, some
There's
exclusive
a little
tea for
funny
you.
thing. There's a little funny thing. You're like, oh, I remember that. Yeah, correct. So I and then from there kind of gravitated towards a whole bunch of other things. I was fortunate enough to write, direct and produce my own play. Won an award for it. So we performed at Herald Theatre in Sky City.
What was that play about?
So it was about the South Pacific Games.
Oh yes.
Yeah. And it was a kind of like a parody. It was a comedy. So we just talked about the South Pacific Games, and it's kind of like sketch comedy / So from there, I was quite lucky to have the producer of Brotown come and watch that play. Her and Oscar Kitely, who's one of my mentors. Now he came and they approached me. So he said, "Hey, I want you to be on this new TV show that we're coming up on TV3. I would like you to play a few characters." I was like, "Oh, cool." And so I ended up turning up to the reading, and Taika was there, Reese Darby was there, all the naked Samoans were there. and then this kid from H-Town.
Yeah, represent.
Yeah, representing. I was like, damn, like here I am. And this like absolute beasts, like Madeline Sami was there. Like we had some like guns in New Zealand television. So we filmed that over a 3-week period. And I was about 22, 21 at the time. And Oscar was a big influence on me because I had watched I had taped his Tangata Pacifica specials. Whenever Naked Samoans did a show, I would tape their things and I would copy them and bite their jokes and all sorts. And I was telling Oscar, man, I bit your joke, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, man, you're a bottle. But anyway. And so from there, I got an agent. I did all of this without an agent. And so when you talk about support systems, you know, how do you go from a performing arts school to now acting alongside Reese Darby with no agent? And I'm like, yeah, you know what I mean? I like that. I like that, mana. I'll take that. But yeah, and then you get an agent. So having an agent's really important. But again, I talked about those two people, Letty and Sean, and going to that school specifically set up for Pacific Island kids. That paved the way big time for me, because then from there I got the Polyfest gig to MC one of the Polyfest shows. And then I did another TV show called Brown Brothers on TV3, which was a pilot series. And then from there I went to a Disney movie that was filmed in Auckland. From there, I think I did Find Me a Māori Bride. I did a whole bunch of other TV shows as well, like one-day shoots, because I'm living in Korero. It's a 4-5 hour drive to Auckland to film. So I kind of put that stuff to the side and just focused on my family and youth work. But going back to the support, you know, having something specifically set up for you, I'm lucky. Like, I'm glad that people existed. Like, and it's not just me, because others that have come from that school have included like Tangata Pacifica hosts. One of my best friends who I met at the school now has just got a video content creator for BuzzFeed in Sydney. And previously to that, he was with Fox Sports and Discovery Channel.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so like, yeah, he's doing big things. And a whole, one of our other students or classmates, he's done his own feature film that played in movies across New Zealand. We've got people in all sorts of movies, and so people's got a really huge reputation in terms of the arts. And I mean, even Coconut TV, you know, one of the usos in my class, Mario, was in class with me, and now he's a big part of that production. So we were lucky. So you talk about support, we were lucky. People who paved the way were people like Oscar, the Nakeds. They did the hard yards at doing theatre and plays, and being the only brown people in the film and television world and theatre world. So by the time I got there, it was already, the pathway was already laid down. It was already laid down for me, so I'm quite lucky. So to this day and age, any young people coming up, man, all you need is a device.
TikTok.
That, like, you can create a 1-minute video and could potentially set you up for the rest of your life. You don't have to do what Oscar did. You don't have to do what Tofinga's still doing. You don't have to do what I went through. You can become famous in your own home if fame is what you're looking for. But if you want to create art, it's a whole different ball game, especially in terms of content creation, because everything is so instant gratification. I want to laugh for 15 seconds and then I'm moving on. You know, for me, it brings up the question, oh, what is art then? If we're consuming it so quickly, shouldn't art have value, and shouldn't it be timeless? And if you look at Da Vinci paintings, for example, those are timeless. You look at movies like The Godfather or The Sandlot kids, you know, these are timeless movies. And shouldn't comedy be the same? Shouldn't be content creation be the same? Yeah, I don't know, bro. Gone on a tangent, but yeah.
No, I think it's a really valid point, because it's saturated. The market right now is saturated with and it's like, come on. Every single time we've done something good and we can recognize something good, exploitation moves it on to commercialization and it just like blows up. Yeah. Really like highlighting the greed of humanity.
Yeah, like my daughter, she has to ask me if she's allowed to follow someone. So I can screen who she's following, because there's certain messages I don't want her to see.
That's beautiful.
Well, she had to do a presentation as to why she was allowed to have a TikTok account first. So she's 9. She did a PowerPoint presentation as to why, and she outlined the do's and don'ts, health and safety and risks, and what she would do if online bullying occurred, that she would tell us straight away. And she would only post videos that we approved. So can I post this? And would look at the video. If it's a dance video, cool as. You can do that. Well, hang on, what are those lyrics? Hang on.
Honestly.
Yeah. So yeah, and then just around that. Yeah. What were we talking about? Sorry, I've lost my thinking. I thought about my daughter.
Yeah, no.
No, I think that's really cool that you have given her autonomy, but still within control, because she's only 9. But to have that opportunity and that platform to explore herself and express herself in a safe environment where she can connect with other people from different places, but still keeping it safe online for her. I think that's really, really important.
That's where I was going with the people she was following.
Go there.
So Charlie D'Amelio, right, is a huge, I guess, TikTok star, but she was, she created her success off hip hop culture, and in terms of the dance moves. And so for me, hip hop is an expression of minority groups who have been urbanized or we come from poverty, and hip hop was the self-expression route. That's the route that we took to express ourselves. But what we're finding now is that the content creation world and who's being marketed towards our kids, our brown kids, are rich white Americans who already have access to all the gear, the equipment, the ring lights. You could just look at the houses they live in. You're like, oh, this is some privileged stuff. But then you look at the music that they're listening to and consuming, and you look at the dance moves that they're doing. That comes from the hood. And so it's like, this is some appropriation type shit. You're not following her. Go and follow this other kid who's actually expressing herself, who's actually shedding her soul to you, who's actually got a story to tell, and not just using this as a financial gain or a marketing tool or strategy. Yeah.
And I think that links it back to what you were saying before between like fame and art. Like Charlie, whatever her name is obviously just seeking, well, I perceive that she's seeking fame and recognition, whereas those other young people that you're encouraging your daughter to follow actually have a story and are expressing themselves rather than just like trying to find fame and gratification from external external people.
Yeah, and that the whole question around influencers, what is that?
Influencers versus content creators.
Yeah, what is that? Like,
it's ugly, man.
It's crazy. So then that's why I screen everything that she does, and even my son. Yeah, so he same treatment. We screen who they follow, and then we talk to them why. Like, we don't follow them because they're from America. Firstly, their view of reality is already tainted. So let's. I mean, that's my opinion, but yeah, I
agree.
I'm always looking for brown people for my kids. And my daughter's a big girl. Her dad's a big boy. She's going to be big. So I'm trying to find people who are role models. So Paris is a perfect example. Yeah. And, she started, my parents know her parents. And so they shared with me, no, she's from the same place you're from. I'm like, cool. That's cool. Like, yeah, you can follow her. Except for when she wears skimpy clothes, you have to scroll past. But that's just the dad in me. Yeah.
True that. No, but come on. Yeah. Age appropriate.
Yeah, but again, hope that answers your question.
This is about going into the various fields. Okay, so talk about rangatahi and like that rangatahi space. Yeah. Because I feel like you came up from it and there might have been support inequities there, but now you're on the other side. What does support look like for you as a coordinator, facilitator?
Yeah. So, when you're afforded the opportunity to create something, initiatives or projects that are going to have a positive impact on youth, you think you'd get excited about it. But what I actually found was that there's so much bullshit in the politics. There's so much
Oh
bullshit.
my gosh, where's my tea? And I'm just
and what I've found now, I was on the ground, just on the ground working with people, thinking that I'm doing good for the world, and I'm helping people that are in my community, and then you gradually start to develop, some credibility. People are starting to recognize your work, and then you start to move up in the world and start doing bigger and bigger projects, and you're starting to help more and more people. So I've been afforded the opportunity now to be at a national level and be able to influence the whole country, I suppose, only to find like, oh, damn, but you got to jump through all of these hoops in order to actually have the impact that you intended to have. And then by the time you've applied for government funding, which essentially is what we all do, there's so many boxes that need to be ticked. And those boxes have nothing to do with a positive outcome for a young person. And so for me, and you talked about it just before, do you mahi from the head or mahi from the heart? Does it come from, and me, it's easy. It's an easy answer. It's from the heart.
hard.
And so it's like, it's no wonder we're in this state that we're in. It's no wonder Māori have always been at the bottom of the barrel. It's because, and one of my good friends says it's broken by design.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's like, no wonder. So I'm having that aha moment now, currently, and it's not cool. Like, I don't feel great about it at all. And I'm starting to find myself being that guy now. I'm like, nah, I'm fighting against the system within the system. That guy now, and if it's not me, then who?
Yeah,
that's kind of how I look at it. So in that space, it's been really interesting, and because I truly believe that just the question itself, what does success look like? That question itself is so hard to answer. And then for me, if it's a young person, it's got to be self-determining.
Yeah,
for sure.
Whatever success looks like to you is what success looks like. And so when you've been provided contracts or funding, it's usually you've been given the standard of what success looks like. And you look at educational programs, and that's why I struggle too, because I'm more for learning, not education. Yeah.
That's beautiful. What do you mean by that?
So learning is lifelong. We're learning right now.
Yeah.
Education is something that's been standardized, quality assured, and to ensure that you have passed a certain mark to say that you are competent in doing this skill or this technical ability. And
oh my God, where have you been? We fuck with that so badly. Fuck with that so badly.
Yeah, so that's what I mean by learning and education. So so I don't have a degree, and that's on purpose. I'm about that, breaking stereotypes. That I can be brown, tattooed, big as hell, and still be successful. I don't need to go down the Western path or the traditional path of get a good education, get a good job, provide for your family. Nah, I'm all good.
Yeah,
I'll just get a good job and provide for my family. So it's been interesting. So when we're talking about young people, their success has to be self-determining. Turning up to school for a whole week could be a very, very huge thing for someone young. And I really admire that young girl coming out of South Auckland who spoke up about how she was supposed to achieve an education and get her schooling and her NCEA, but at home, everyone is starving. Everyone is not living well in terms of their hauora and their holistic well-being. So she's got to leave this, sacrifice her education and potentially her future to go and help her whānau. So it's like, this is broken. The system is fucked.
For real.
So where to from here, and what do I do? And one of the things I've always talked about is you got to really build the young person themselves. So I say build the person, not the CV.
Beautiful. Love that.
Yeah. So I don't like. Who cares what you can put on your CV? Are you cool? Are you a good person? Like anyone can drive a Ferrari, but is it an asshole driving a Ferrari or a really cool person driving a Ferrari? Which one is it gonna be? Like, which one would you want to be? Yeah. So yeah, and that's messages I kind of share to young people, and Ferrari isn't the goal. They go, I want to be rich, I want to be famous. I'm like, yeah, it's cool. You could be famous, you could be rich, but I can pick up a rock for free and scratch your Ferrari. And what value does your Ferrari have now? And I'm laughing.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, there's no value in that, man. But I mean, there's so many things I could talk about with young people. There's so many, it's levels though. There's different scopes. Like even what type of young people are you going to work with? Like I've come across, I shouldn't bag people, but I've come across situations where people have talked about successes of young people, but you look at that group of young people, these are very privileged kids. These are kids that are already going to be doing well, and you're gonna pawn them off as a success.
It's so frustrating.
Yeah, and it's like you're gonna say that because of your initiative that these young people have done well, without acknowledging the fact that both parents have full-time work, without acknowledging the fact
both
that
parents are together.
Both parents are together. You've never known what hunger is. You're going to be successful. Those are factors in life that are going to make you resilient enough to do well.
Yeah.
You've got to.
Well, in this conditioning, at least.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially in this conditioning.
Yeah, for real. Yeah. Again, I hope.
We need to get in like a stick for when people are like. All right, so we've jumped through some communities support. What do you think? So this is about so the Fuck You podcast is talking about all the things that are the furthest queue that needs to be brought up to the front, and have what are the topics that you believe need to be brought to the limelight from your perspective?
Indigenous knowledge.
Go there.
Yeah, Indigenous knowledge needs to be brought right to the forefront, especially if you're talking about sustainability. Sustainability not in terms of environment, but sustainability in terms of society, like societal sustainability. You look at, I guess, so an example I'll use is food sovereignty.
Go there.
And so we actually have kids that think beef comes from the supermarket. It exists.
Yeah, for sure. For real. Not even joking.
We actually have kids that think meat comes from the supermarket.
That's so many.
And it's always bountiful, and it's always going to come from the supermarket.
It's always going to come, and
you just walk in, and that's where you get it.
So we've got this, and it's been by design to have these types of kids that are going to be reliant on this, economic model to keep consumers, keep it going, keep the money going. And you could apply that to any other context or business or product or whatever. Actually educating young people around cultivation, around farming, around sustainability, around harvesting, around moon phases, maramataka, around when to fish, when not to fish, around protection of young fish, or protection, don't take that eel because that's the producer. Because in the next season he's going to produce 500 other eels. So we don't take that eel. It's around, when to fish, when not to fish, health and safety around that, this is all stuff that you find in Indigenous knowledge. We knew this stuff ages ago, and we just didn't commercialize it and create it to make capital. This is common knowledge so that you could live a healthy life, and so your family could never go without. But we don't live in that world anymore. In particular with Māori, who were able to create their own clothing made from harakeke. They were able to make their own tools made from paunamu and harakeke again, like making ropes. We were able to create and build our own transportation. We were able to do and live a healthy, abundant life within our small communities as well. And we had systems in place. We had leaders. We had experts. We had, schools of knowledge, wānanga. And these are things that I always see in today's society are being brought to we need to focus on, waterways. I'm like, shit, we did that a long time ago. We knew that stuff was coming, and then who are you going to for that knowledge? Oh, the kaumātuas. Kia ora. So it's like, the Australian fires is a better example. How are they managing the fires now? Through Indigenous knowledge. And they're seeing Aboriginal experts who have thousands of years of knowledge of how to control the fires because they've lived there for millennia. And then now people are saying, let's go ask them because they know. That's a perfect example of an Indigenous knowledge base coming to the forefront. Why? To save people's lives. Come on. So yeah, that for me is probably what needs to be bring to the forefront, Indigenous knowledge, and not just within Aotearoa, around the world, man. There's a reason why Indigenous people survived in those climates, survived in those environments. There's a reason why they didn't live there because of the resource was abundant and I could make money off of this. They lived there for a reason and they know how to live there. I mean, you look at our Inuit people living up in the Arctic. Bro, you ain't gonna find no islanders out there. It's damn too cool.
No.
But they know how to, and they've created a lifestyle and they've created systems of societal systems to maintain and sustain themselves. So.
And medicine as well. I think.
Rongoa, big time.
Yeah. To me, I feel like, I don't know how to say this because I feel like it's almost trendy and topical to jump into indigeneity right now.
Big time, yeah.
Because it's like, and it's like, but when I think about it and it's entirety, if you zoom out and look at it across time, indigeneity is it's almost used as an excuse now where it's we'll just go back, we'll just revert to the old ways. And it's no, human processes are the reason why we keep on going through back and forth of greed, no greed, no greed. And it's to me, it doesn't make sense for us to always be looking at it at knowledge systems in that way in terms of abuse, not abuse. Oh, let's retract that. Yeah. And I'm can we have a system where we actually analyze the longevity of ideas? Because I feel some ideas are great and amazing and it's lasted through time and space. But the longevity of a lot of these policies, I'm you're not even future proofing this. You're not even trying to or attempting to look at it from a future perspective. Yeah. You're just in the now, we need housing, we have a housing crisis because we have a population crisis.
Yeah. It's the whole plastering, just put a plaster over the problem.
Right. Yeah. And I totally agree with you about that. But any other thoughts?
I think what you touched on too is something that's really important in terms of youth work as well, is that a lot of the work that I'm trying to do now, I acknowledge and understand that I'm not going to see the fruits of that work, because what we're trying to do is, if you're trying to combat intergenerational problems, you need intergenerational solutions.
Yeah.
So we're not
beautiful.
We're not going to see the policy that's going to fix it today. We're not going to fix it today.
Yeah.
We're going to fix it potentially for my great-great-grandchild who I'm never going to meet. But if I plant the seed here today, they're going to reap the rewards.
Yeah.
And that's what it's all about. So, yeah.
Nice. Oh my gosh, that was beautiful. Any lasting thoughts, advice out there to people?
I just hope that was of value to anyone.
Oh man, come on.
All right.
Seriously.
Of course it was.
Yeah. Thank you guys. Thank you.
Thank you for coming through. We really appreciate it. Really appreciate you coming through to share your whakaaro and have a conversation with us.
All right. So is there anything that you need to plug? How do people get in contact with you if they connect and relate to your whakaaro?
Yeah, just, I guess, Google me.
Yeah.
You'll find me eventually. Yeah, Facebook, whatever.
Yeah, cool.
Any
we'll
projects?
put some links down
Yeah.
below as well.
Yeah.
Any projects that you're currently in or?
Nah, heaps. Yeah, just if you want to talk, just hit me up, man.
Yeah.
Just you gotta bring the kai.
Fair enough.
Healthy Kai, by the way.
Fair enough.
No, that's cool. And yes, don't forget to like and share and what's all of those things?
I don't know.
Okay, well,
Like, share, subscribe.
yes.
Yeah, there we go.
Like, share, subscribe our Instagram. We're only on Instagram, fam. So please take a look at that.
At Fuck You Podcast.
Yes, the
On
Far
Instagram.
Q podcast. And if you don't like, what are your thoughts on the name? I feel like
I like the idea of the far queue, meaning of the lineup that you have of people you want to speak to. I thought that was clever. Yeah.
we also wanted to say fuck you in a nice way as well.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
we're the Fuck You podcast.
No, it's cool. I like the name. I like that intro. Honestly, is the best.
Okay, so you need to help us intro out then, though.
Oh man,
The fuck you.
Fuck You.
fuck you,
Fuck you. The fuck you.
fuck you.
Bye.
Kia ora.